So it's like really good. I see some of you guys chatting in your responses already, such as the Posse Scholarship and the Dell Scholarship, the Appia Scholarship. I actually don't know too much about that one. The Gates Scholarship. These are all great options. And I see another person is saying Gates. A lot of you guys are saying the Gates Scholarship actually. It seems to be like a bit like more popular within you guys, I guess. Looking into Macaulay Honors. Oh, that's I feel like I know which scholarship you are talking about, but I can't remember the name either. I know a lot of other students that are also applying to QuestBridge, and QuestBridge I highly recommend. It is a very great way to apply for extra aid. But I also suggest that you guys like further look into this guide later, like save it for later and use it to help you find more scholarships. But we are going to move on to the next topic, which is the College Board Opportunity Scholarship. And this may seem familiar to you all because I have mentioned it briefly before, especially if you have met with me for your one-on-one. And this is a scholarship that was specifically created especially for juniors, and it is nice because it has a bunch of awards. And basically, this is kind of like the flow of how it goes. You would like take these steps to qualify, like building your college list, and you would get $500, practicing for the SAT, which is $1,000, improving your score, which is $2,000, strengthening your college list, which is another 500, and then completing the FAFSA, which is another 1,000, and applying to colleges, which is another 1,000. So it's like a really great way to earn money. And if you need more information or are really interested in this, Julian just dropped the link in the chat, and this will be kept tracked of through College Board. It's specifically so like when you take the steps to qualify, College Board itself is going to be like keeping track of that. So now we're going to get specifically into the Dell Scholarship. So through Let's Get Ready, you have access to this special scholarship, and here's what you should know about it. It is a $20,000 scholarship. It includes a laptop with a 4-year warranty and credits for textbooks. It comes with a personalized academic and financial support. Uh, and it also offers emotional support and free access to counseling services. And to be eligible for it, you would have to be on track to graduate with at least a 2.4 GPA, demonstrate a need for financial assistance, and plan to enroll in a full-time in the pursuit of a bachelor's degree in the fall directly after you graduate high school. But you guys already are eligible because you guys are Let's Get Ready students. And we will not send a link now because we'll be sharing more information about this scholarship like via text in the fall when the applications open, because the applications for the scholarship are not open right now. So rather than this being like the opportunity scholarship that offer like Big Future offers, this is not just different small scholarships. It's just one big scholarship with a bunch of other like bonuses. So what does it take to apply for scholarships? So you will likely need a resume, which is not really difficult as you might think it is. However, it's like a good thing to have, and you might want an adult to proofread it. And we will be dropping a link in the chat, which with a resume writing guide. You would also need letters of recommendations, and you can ask teachers to tweak what they've already written for you if you already have some recommendation letters, and you will get a guide as well that will be sending, and also a list of best fit scholarships. So applying for way more money than you hope to receive, and what makes you more likely to win will be like fewer applicants, like local scholarships with extremely specific requirements, or like, just smaller scholarships that may not be as popular, and like, don't overlook them because they can really add up. But wherever you're at right now is normal, but you should try to get these together like now if you want to apply for scholarships. And after this workshop, we'll send the slide deck out and you can come back to this specific slide to get started on some of these things. And getting started now will reduce stress later on. And when you have much, much more on your plate during senior year, scholarships will likely fall off, which can have later consequences. So it's good that you get started now. So here's the goal around getting started around like setting goals for scholarships. I worded that really wrong. Sorry, guys. So we talked about a lot of different aspects applying for scholarships, which included the timeline for applying, which starts, this week, setting certain searching for scholarships, prioritizing which ones to apply for, and preparing your materials, which can include a resume, an essay, and different like recommendations. And we also looked at the Dell and Opportunity Scholarship that Big Future offers. And we also sent out Let's Get Ready Scholarship Guide. So I want to give you guys 2 minutes to identify a step that you may want to take this week. And you can either share it in the chat or come off mute. But take 2 minutes to identify one of these steps that you may want to take using this little aims graphic to help you create a strong goal. So the timer starts now. Okay, as you guys can see, like I'm like asking you guys like little questions, and this is like to kind of get you like familiar with the aims like graphic. So if you said, "Oh, I want to start searching for scholarships and I want to start preparing my materials," I would suggest thinking about making it more broader and specific. Like, when do you want to start looking for scholarships? How many scholarships do you want to search for? When do you want to start preparing your materials? Like, why do you want to start preparing these materials? Like, make it a little bit more like deeper so you can really like put yourself and like push yourself to getting started, because you can easily just say, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to look for scholarships." And then you just never do it because you may be procrastinating on it, or you just may let it slip your mind. So it's just to let you guys get a little bit more familiar with the aims graphic. Okay, so these are all really great goals, and I'm glad that you guys are taking into consideration the aims graphic to help you create these strong goals. Once again, when we send out this slide deck, I really suggest that you come back to this slide to get a better look and hold yourself accountable to these goals that you have written. But for now, we're going to be taking a 5-minute break so you can use this time to get some water, stretch, just do whatever within the 5 minutes, and then we'll go on to our next topic. Okay, welcome back everybody from the break. Well, I hope it's like everybody that's still here. Um, the break is over and we'll be moving on to our next topic, and we'll be discussing how to talk to your family about finances. So, I need to talk about money. So, most families don't talk openly about their finances, but when it comes to colleges, you kind of need to know how. And here's why: it will affect how much money the student will like get, like how much financial help a student will get, depending on their family or guardians like money and income, and this will affect how much money you the student will need to pay if you have to pay a certain amount for your tuition. So this will change only if the student is legally and financially independent. But it is normal that many families cannot afford to help, or it might not seem possible to take out loans. And it is also normal that starting this conversation can feel very, very hard for some of you because of the way that your family dynamic may be, or it just could be a anxiety inducing topic to bring up. but we are going to be talking about ways to open the financial conversation. So I drop an emoji or a few emojis in the chat that express how you feel about asking your parent or guardian about their financial situation and or what they plan to contribute to your education. These were the emojis that I pick. It could be these emojis that I have on screen or any other emojis, but I'm gonna give you guys 2 minutes to chat in your emojis and yeah. Yeah, so I see some that are already similar to mine. A lot of nervousness, it seems, a little celebration. Oh, that sounds great that you guys have already talked about it. Some of you seem to not really be looking forward to it though. When I put these emojis, I was also very, very nervous about discussing like finances with my family because it was kind of not like something I didn't really like worry about. Like I would get, a little like gift of money or like, sometimes even an allowance, but thinking about like paying for college was like way scarier to talk about. So I completely understand like that some of you may be nervous and that is totally, totally normal. But some of you guys, on the other hand, can also be very excited because you guys have been dying to talk about this, which is also very normal. Like some of you guys have also like been ready to talk about this. But continue dropping your emojis in the chat while I give you guys some tips on some ways to open the conversation. So you can open the conversation by sharing your financial goals related to college from the poll that we had earlier, letting your family know that it can help you create an affordable school list. And you can also just ask to have a conversation like earlier. So like maybe around this time instead of just like putting them on the spot and making them feel like this just kind of came out of nowhere. Like maybe sit them down and be like, hey, I want to talk about like our finances because I want to build my college list. But if you aren't ready to talk about that yet, let's talk about it like later this week or maybe next week. Like, I don't know, maybe like schedule a little like date and time where it would be a more relaxed setting. So here are some financial aid forms, and I'm going to give you guys like a minute to look at the chart on screen with the different kinds of financial aid and like FAFSA forms. So in many cases, one or both parents or a guardian will need to fill out your financial aid forms, and this graphic can tell you which parent that might be for FAFSA. And this can begin to guide you in knowing which parent you should talk to about their finances. And just a little heads up, this can feel a bit more complicated and kind of technical, but it will help you prepare for FAFSA ahead of time. But please note that if your parent is like remarried, this person may also need to fill out the FAFSA as well. And for more specific details about certain situations that I not mentioned, the like link will be dropped in the chat, including if you are a citizen, but your parents are not, as well as if you don't live with either of your parents. Please look at the link that was in the chat. And please note that I am not an expert in this, but the FAFSA website has tons of useful articles that can help you figure out like what to do and how to get ready to apply. And speaking of that, we will be talking about getting ready to complete the FAFSA. And FAFSA is very, very important, and it will be important for every year that you are in college since it is the main federal aid. So here are things to know about FAFSA. So FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It provides access to free money in the form of grants and scholarships, and it is used by schools to evaluate need-based financial aid in the form of low interest loans and work study. You will need to complete this form every year, or yeah, every year. And if you are not a US citizen, you may or may not be eligible, but it really depends on your like situation, and the link for that is going to be dropped in the chat as well. And completing the FAFSA as soon as possible is very important. And the form officially opens October 1st, and it's important to fill it out quickly because money is assigned on a rolling basis. So the later that you apply, the less money that will be available to you. And different states have different kinds of FAFSA deadlines. So it may be different than what you're used to depending on the area you live in, and getting your IDs, tax returns, and other like FAFSA like related things are like together earlier may not be as simple as you may think. So getting it together as soon as possible is like very, very important. So you could just be able to like fill out the forms, like sit down with your family and fill it out and be done with it. But the key takeaway is that for many things, it's okay to wait for a deadline to do, but this is not one of those things, and this is not one of those times. So you should complete the FAFSA as soon as possible. What IDs do we need for the FAFSA form? You would have to complete, like, you would have to create a FSA ID, and I'm going to be talking about that right now, actually. So you will have to be creating an FSA ID using your personal email so you do not lose access. Please do not use your student email. That will be a long process to fix that because you may lose access to your student email. So use a regular email that you know that you will have access to forever, and keep your login info like somewhere written down. It will be the same every year, and it may take up to 48 hours for the FSA ID to process, but you should also have your parent or guardian create an FSA ID as well, and assemble a list of financial aid, like financial documents, IDs, and this list will be dropped in the chat. But an example of some financial documents may be W-4 forms that you get from work, 1040s that you like your parent, or like different tax forms that your parents have and stuff like that. You also have to create a FAFSA account and set inside an hour to sit down with your parent or guardian to complete the FAFSA list. Please note that when you create an FSA ID, it is a separate step than creating a FAFSA account, but you do need to create an FSA ID first to create your FAFSA account. And when you set aside an hour to sit down with your parent or guardian to complete the FAFSA, it will likely save you between $5,000 and $12,000, which is the average financial aid award. And getting these things together and creating their accounts now will mean that you will be ready to go when the FAFSA opens. So raise your hand if you feel scared or overwhelmed when thinking about FAFSA or financial aid forms. Oh, okay. Okay, now I see hands raised. Okay, so it's totally normal to feel this way, but please remember that almost everyone else feels intimidated and everyone gets through it, and so will you. And it's important to make use of your support network. So every student's family and financial situation is completely different, and it can make filling out financial aid forms really, really complicated. But if you have to take the lead on filling out those forms, like many other students do as well, and you are 100% capable of finishing it. And if you need help, feel free to go to somebody who has filled out the FAFSA before and ask for help. Some of these people could just be your guidance counselor, different family members who already have gone to college or are currently in college and already have filled out the forms, like maybe friends who are filling it out as well and have already gotten it out the way. And, even your Let's Get Ready coach. My mom has a FAFSA ID for my brother. Can she connect that to my account? I believe she can, yes. So heads up, Please see what questions are included on the FAFSA by checking a preview of it online. They will have different versions in English and Spanish, and I believe they also have different languages aside from those, such as Mandarin or Urdu. And please check out College Essay Guy's Guide to avoid the most common rookie FAFSA mistakes. And please keep checking your emails. It's very important that you check your emails when it comes to anything FAFSA related, because some people get selected to complete a FAFSA verification, and that is through your email. So it's very important to be on the lookout for that, as well as other updates. And lastly, FAFSA is not the only financial aid form that you will need to be filling out. For example, many colleges will also ask you to complete a CSS profile to access scholarships and financial aid. And if you live in New York, you will probably have to also fill out the TAP form. So in this section, we will be reviewing financial aid offers. So financial aid award letters. How, how do I say this? Raise your hand if you've ever heard of a financial aid reward letter, or if you just know what it is. Okay, I see two hands raised up, but I don't know if that's from the previous one or this one. Okay, a lot of you guys don't really know, and that's okay. It's completely normal that this can be an entirely new thing for you, and it is something that exists only related to college. So after you finish all of your financial aid and college applications, you will have to wait to see where you are accepted. And each college that accepts you will send you a award letter. And these are very, very important because it gives you the amount of aid that each school is willing to give you. And the amount may vary depending on your situation. So sometimes it may be a dramatic amount that they give you, but financial aid letters are very confusing and they can come in different formats. So, can I have whoa. I was gonna ask if one of you could read this, but no. Some schools will try to make it appear like you'll pay less. So it's very important to know that. And we will be sending a tip sheet or different videos on how to review your financial aid reward letters. And this can be very helpful to utilize the support of Let's Get Ready and the coaches that you may have next year. Can I have someone read the last sentence on the slide? It is very, very important to remember.
Do not commit to attending a college before you review the financial aid offers from all the schools you get into.
Yeah, it's very, very important. So we know that talking about the finances of college is a lot, which is why Let's Get Ready is here to support you. So please be sure to reach out to your coach if you have any questions. Speaking of questions, do you guys have any questions for me right now based off of anything that was reviewed? Jerry, I see you have your hand up. Do you have a question? Or is that from before?
It's for a question, sorry.
Okay, what's your
Uh,
question?
so you mentioned earlier how some colleges need us to complete a CSS form,
Mhm.
but I'm wondering when do we need to complete a CSS form?
So I actually don't have the answer to that right now, but I remember when I was applying for colleges, I had to complete a CSS form right after I finished the financial aid, like the FAFSA form. So I would say around then, but I will try to look for that and text you about it.
Oh, also I'm wondering how do we start our scholarship or financial aid stuff? Because it sounds like a lot of things that we need to keep track of.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it definitely is a lot of things that you need to keep track of. So for the scholarship search, I would recommend starting around like this time, like in August. So I would suggest like searching like based off of like schools that you are interested in, seeing if they have any specific scholarships. Looking on College Board. College Board does also offer scholarships to look for. And lastly, maybe look for like different specific scholarship websites such as Niche. They do offer a bunch of different scholarships and different specific scholarships, like depending on like a talent, hobby, or like if you're a first gen student. So I would definitely suggest looking into things like that, or just simply like searching first gen scholarships. As for financial aid, I would suggest sitting down and talking to your family about like sitting down, setting a time to sit down and creating the things that you may need, like an FSA ID, which or like gathering the different things that they may need, like their ID, their tax forms, stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Um, Kristen, what do some passion projects look like? Oh, Malik already answered it for you. Do
Yeah,
we?
I can step in briefly. Hi everyone, my name is Melik. I'm a program manager with Let's Get Ready. Just supporting Faye and Julian today. Passion projects can look like a lot, honestly. They could be related to art that you're really interested in creating. They could be volunteer work that you're taking part in order to give back to the community. Could be a research project, topic that you're really interested in. So you're doing a lot of research and history, like digging through history in order to learn more about that topic. Um, some personal examples that I can give you. I'm working on recipe developing, um, specifically kind of recreating the dishes and baked goods that my mom used to do when I was a kid. So that I would describe as a passion project. So whatever you can think of, you can make it into a passion project.
Thank you so much, Malik. Mavluda asked, I created a website for learning languages and made a little free library. Does it count as a passion project? Absolutely. And I also want to applaud you for that. Like, that sounds really amazing. Um, like Malik said, anything can really be a passion project as long as you are very passionate about it and you want to basically share that passion with others in your community. It can be a passion project. So, do you guys have any more questions? It's okay if you guys don't feel comfortable asking right now. You guys can reach out to me through text, and I will be sure to answer your questions as best as I can. But to wrap things up, thank you for joining today. I always enjoy these workshops and getting to learn more about you all. But to close off, we do have a feedback form that we would appreciate your participation in, which is in the next slide. And it is very important to us because we updated this workshop based off of what students shared with us last year, and the link will be dropped in the chat. Um, so yeah, we learned a lot today. We learned about how to prepare for scholarships. We learned about FSA IDs and preparing for FAFSA, discussing different ways to talk to families about finances. And we also talked about the timeline of when to get started on scholarships. So this was a lot of different information, and we will be sending out the slide deck soon. So if you have any questions and would like to review it, like review the slides, it will be sent out soon. And yeah, thank you so much.